Please video like and subscribe this channel. The celestial court of Vera had always been a place of spectacle. Crystalline spires stretched toward the twin suns, shimmering with the reflection of 1,000 worlds. Each spire was a throne for a ruler, each chamber a court for a civilization older than most stars. And at the center of it all sat Princess Liara, the jewel of the Veran dominion, whose beauty and intellect had captivated the galaxy, but whose hand in marriage had been repeatedly refused by every suitor who dared approach. For centuries, alien warriors, scholars, and diplomats had sought her approval. They were the strongest, the wisest, the most accomplished beings across the stars. Yet Liara, despite her graciousness and charm, remained alone. Her court buzzed with whispered rumors. Some claimed her standards were impossibly high, others that she sought a bond beyond mere alliance, and a few whispered darker tales of alien pride wounded by previous wars. I arrived in the Veran capital as a human ambassador, though my journey had been more than ceremonial. Humans were newcomers to interstellar politics, our colonies spread across fractured star systems, our fleets modest compared to the ancient empires surrounding us. But we had survived. Against threats that no other species could endure, humans endured, and it had earned us a grudging respect. The hall itself was a marvel. Its polished floors reflected the light of distant suns captured within the crystalline walls, and the air was thick with the scent of ionized energy and delicate floral infusions. Courtiers and guards lined the edges, their postures formal, their eyes sharp. But it was the princess herself who drew my attention, the radiance of her presence impossible to ignore. Even in her silence, she commanded the room. I was led forward by Veran protocol officers, my human attire formal yet simple, not designed to impress with opulence but to show humility. I had heard of Liara's reputation, of the countless alien warriors and dignitaries who had failed to earn her favor, and I knew that my approach had to be different, not arrogance, not wealth, not power. Only sincerity could reach her. Human, the chief protocol officer intoned, his voice smooth and formal. Princess Liara permits your presence. You may speak. I bowed respectfully. Princess Liara, I said, I come not to offer power, nor riches, nor alliances. I come to speak honestly, as a representative of my people, and as a human who wishes to know you. Liara's gaze, piercing and intelligent, measured me. Her eyes were pale violet, and they seemed to weigh every word before me with the gravity of centuries. You are a human, she said, her voice musical but tinged with curiosity. You are aware of the history you inherit, the failures of those who came before you, the pride of the Veran. You have little to offer, yet you seek much. I offer honesty, I replied. I offer my respect. And I ask not for convenience or compromise, but for the chance to know you beyond the tales of alien courts and galactic alliances. The room was quiet. A few courtiers whispered to each other, clearly surprised by my candor. Liara's eyes narrowed slightly, but not with disapproval. Instead, they reflected a spark of interest, a human, small in stature, but undaunted in presence. For the first time in centuries, a suitor approached Liara without attempting to dazzle with force, wealth, or reputation. I did not bow excessively, I did not make exaggerated promises, and I did not flaunt knowledge I had yet to earn. I simply stood, steady and composed, offering transparency instead of pretension. Liara leaned forward, her attention sharp. Most who have approached me sought something: alliances, power, or vanity. You are different. What is it you seek? I met her gaze directly. I seek understanding. And, if the choice is mine to make, I seek to offer companionship. Not as a transaction, not as conquest, but as a partnership. The room shifted. Gasps rippled across the alien court. Some whispered in disbelief, a human proposing? To the most sought-after princess in the galaxy? Many species had attempted marriage for strategic advantage, and everyone had failed. Some left humiliated, some broken. Yet here I stood, my words simple and sincere. Lyara's lips parted slightly. And you believe a human, of all species, could be worthy of me? Her tone was not mocking, it was testing, probing, weighing intent against centuries of experience. I believe worth is not inherited from species or titles, I replied. Worth is proven by action, by trust, and by willingness to endure together. I do not claim perfection. I claim persistence, honesty, and respect. Silence followed. Even the court's guards, trained for millennia to detect deception, did not stir. The princess tilted her head, her eyes scanning me in a way that suggested she was considering not just the proposal, but the being behind it. Lyara finally rose from her throne, moving gracefully across the crystalline floor. Her form radiated authority, but there was a softness in her motion reserved for moments of genuine curiosity. Very well, human. If what you say is true, you must prove it not with words, but with understanding. Will you endure my trials? I nodded. I will. The first trial was not combat. Nor was it wealth or strategy. It was endurance of patience and empathy. Lyara led me through the daily life of the court, negotiations with alien emissaries, intricate ceremonial duties, and situations designed to test perception and integrity. I observed, I listened, I assisted not for reward, but for genuine care and attention. Slowly, she tested my resilience to boredom, subtle insults, and the weight of expectations, all with the grace of a seasoned ruler. Days passed. The court's initial skepticism gradually turned to cautious respect. Some of her advisors whispered among themselves, the human had persistence, yes, but also humility, a combination rare even among the most ancient species. Lyara's reactions were harder to read, but moments of quiet approval began to surface. The second trial involved knowledge and strategy. Lyara presented a series of hypothetical scenarios, political crises, interstellar disputes, and complex social dilemmas. I was required to analyze, respond, and justify my reasoning. I did not claim to know all answers, but I spoke honestly, and I demonstrated adaptability. Again, many alien courtiers were astonished. A human limited in both experience and lifespan was able to navigate challenges that had baffled seasoned Veyran advisors for centuries. Finally came the last trial, the most personal. Lyara brought me to the Hall of Reflection, a vast chamber where luminescent pools mirrored not just the physical form but the inner self. Here, she said, you will show me what you are not afraid to reveal. Only honesty can complete your trial. I stepped forward. The pools glimmered with starlight, reflecting both my image and the faint echoes of my experiences. I recounted my life, battles fought, losses endured, choices made in desperation, and the moments of triumph that had shaped my character. There was no embellishment, no performance. Only truth. Lyara watched, silent, as the story unfolded. Each scar I had acquired, each difficult decision, each personal failure was laid bare not for sympathy, but for recognition. When I finished, I removed the ceremonial sash I had worn, a symbolic gesture of vulnerability, allowing her to see my complete form. The princess remained silent for a long moment, longer than any alien courtier had ever witnessed. Then, slowly, she stepped forward. Her eyes glowed with a new light, one that conveyed understanding, acceptance, and something deeper. You are unlike any being I have ever known, she said softly. No alien has ever endured as you have. No alien has ever approached with such honesty, persistence, and courage. You are worthy. The court held its collective breath. In the history of Veyra, no human had ever been declared worthy of the princess. No alien suitor had succeeded either, despite their power, prestige, and influence. And yet here, in the shimmering Hall of Reflection, the decision was clear. I bowed deeply, honorably, and spoke, "Princess Lyara, I offer not just myself, but my commitment to share life, understanding, and purpose with you if you accept." A faint smile appeared on her lips, her first truly warm expression in the presence of a suitor. "Then yes," she said simply, yet decisively. "I accept." The reaction from the court was immediate: gasps, murmurs, and whispers of disbelief. Even the most rigid advisors and ancient generals looked stunned. A human, a species newly arrived in galactic politics, had succeeded where centuries of alien suitors had failed. Lyara extended her hand, and I took it. At that moment, the distance between species, the divisions of power and culture, dissolved. In that gesture, there was equality, mutual respect, and the promise of partnership. Weeks later, when the announcement was formally made, the galaxy reeled. Histories were rewritten. Analysts debated endlessly about the implications. But for Lyara and me, it was simple. Understanding and honesty had triumphed where pride and tradition had faltered. A human had dared to propose where every alien had declined, and in doing so, had changed the course of galactic history. And as we stood together, hand in hand, looking out over the city of shimmering spires and distant stars, I realized something profound. Across all the galaxies, through all the wars, traditions, and empires, it was courage, the courage to be honest, to endure, and to risk rejection, that was the most powerful force of all. End.